Hello student, now we will study about the dialysis process. What is dialysis process? Before that I would like to inform about that when the kidney is failed or during the case of the not responding proper kidney, at that condition we are using a dialysis. Dialysis is the process by which we can remove the waste product and the excessive fluid from the body. It do the same function as kidney do. It also controls the blood pressure and helps the body to keep the proper balance of a chemical such as a potassium, sodium and the chlorine. Dialysis is depend on the two method, means it can done by two method. One is the hemodialysis and the second one, that is a peritoneal dialysis. In the hemodialysis the blood is used. From the blood we can remove the waste. Now let's see how does the dialysis work. It is use a membrane as a filter and a solution called the dialyze, which is regulate the balance of the fluid, salt and the mineral carry in the bloodstream. Or you can say it's helpful to maintain the concentration of the salt. The toxic substance which is passed through the blood by a membrane and into the dialyze to be taken away. This toxic would normally be filtered by the kidney and taken away in the urine. But in the absence of the kidney, this membrane is do same work as a kidney. This membrane actually it is a semi-permeable, means they remove only the waste substance from the blood. In the hemodialysis, the process takes place outside the body. A dialysis machine is used for this hemodialysis, in that the small amount of blood out of the body and through a filter called the artificial kidney or a dialyzer. This dialyzer are filter the extra fluid and the waste which is present in the blood, which is removed from the body, and then after the purified blood is again pumped back into the body. Here you can see the figure that from the non-glorified blood is passed through this machine, and then after by the dialyzer the blood is clean, means all the waste material that is removed, and then after it is again transferred to the body. This is the last topic of your chapter. Now your chapter is finished, and now we are trying to solve out all the question answer of this chapter in the next video. Hello students, now let's revise the chapter by the question answer. I already explained some question answer in the part 1. Now let's see the other question. What are the different ways in which glucose is oxidized to provide energy in various organisms? Here we can see the respiration is occur in two ways, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. The aerobic respiration that occur in the cytoplasm as well as in mitochondria, whereas the anaerobic respiration is occur in two ways. One is in yeast cell and other one that is in muscle cell. Let's see the solution. In the cytoplasm, the glucose is first to break down into the 3 carbon of pyruvate. Here you can see in the both aerobic and anaerobic respiration, the first stage of the glucose breakdown is the same in the all of 3 of them. The 6 carbon glucose is converted into the 3 carbon molecules called the pyruvate. this process is occur in cytoplasm. Now from pyruvate, now it's divided in three types. So based on the demand of oxygen. If pyruvate gets absence of oxygen and this process is in yeast cell, then it is form ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. While in the lack of oxygen, means insufficient oxygen, and this process takes place in muscle cell, then it is form a lactic acid and energy. While in aerobic respiration means the presence of oxygen, it's form a carbon dioxide, water and energy. So in exam, if asked that write down the aerobic and the anaerobic respiration with the equation, then even you have to write down this equation. And if asked that what are the different way in which glucose is oxidized to form energy in various organisms, even in that case also you have to write down this answer. Now let's see the other question. How is oxygen and carbon dioxide transport in human beings? Means how the oxygen we can consume and carbon dioxide remove, means the inhale and exhale process we have to describe. The oxygen and carbon dioxide is transported in human beings via blood stream. In oxygen is carried out to the cell, whereas carbon dioxide is carried away from the cell. The exchange of the gases takes place between the alveoli of the lungs and the surrounding blood capillaries. As we see that the end parts of the lungs, that is a sac-like structure called the alveoli, and these alveoli is surrounded by so many blood capillaries, and these blood capillaries are help to exchange of the O2 and the CO2. Oxygen is absorbed by the blood capillaries from the lungs. When we are inhale the oxygen, this oxygen is go to the alveoli. Due to the alveoli, it's transferred to the blood capillaries. From the blood capillaries, it's transferred to the cell. Whereas from the body, whatever the carbon dioxide is generated, that transferred by the blood capillaries to alveoli, and by the alveoli it is goes through the trachea, and you can say by the exhale process it is go outside the body. This exchange of the gas is occur by the diffusion process. Let's have a look in the solution. The oxygen and the carbon dioxide is transported in the human beings via bloodstream. Oxygen is carried to the cell, whereas the carbon dioxide is carried away from the cell. This exchange of the gases takes place between the alveoli of the lungs and the surrounding blood capillaries. Oxygen is absorbed by the blood capillaries from the lungs and the alveoli by the diffusion, while whatever the carbon dioxide is formed, that is absorbed by the lungs, then it is transferred to the alveoli, and from the blood capillaries it is by the diffusion process it is exhaled from the body. Now let's see the next question. How are the lungs designed in a human beings to maximize the area for the exchange of the gases? Here also you have to write down about the blood capillaries which is surrounded by the alveoli. These blood capillaries increase the area of the diffusion, where the exchange of the oxygen is occur. Let's see the solution. The lung is an important part of the body. The passage inside the lungs is divided into a smaller tubes which finally terminate into the balloon-like, or you can say the sac-like structure that is called as a alveoli. The alveoli provide the surface where the gas exchange, means the O2 and the CO2's exchange takes place. The wall of alveoli is usually contain an extensive network of a blood vessel. We know that when we breathe in, we lift our rib. Flatten out the diagram. Diagram is the membrane which is located just below the lungs. The chest cavity become larger. Due to the air coming into the body, this diagram is flat and the cavity become larger. So we can easily inhale the air. Because of this action, air is sucked into the lungs and fill the lungs, and that's why the alveoli expanded. The blood brings the essential carbon dioxide from the rest of the body parts and supply it to the alveoli. And the oxygen in the alveolar air is taken up by the blood in the alveoli blood vessel to be a transportation to the body parts. Now, during the normal breathing cycle, when air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain a residual volume of the air, so that there is a sufficient time for the oxygen to be absorbed and carbon dioxide to be released. This process is done in rhythmic way, inhale and exhale. That's why these processes easily can get the oxygen and remove the carbon dioxide. Now let's see the next question. What are the components of the transport system in human beings? What are the function of this component? As we see in the video that the heart, blood and the blood vessels are the main component of the transport system in the human beings. What is the function of this component? Let's see the function of the heart. That heart's main function is to pump oxygenated blood throughout the body, and whatever the deoxygenated blood is generated into the body, that collects and pass it to the lungs for the purification. Means the heart is a pump oxygenated blood throughout the body. It receives the deoxygenated blood from the various body part and send this impure blood to the lungs for the oxygenation process. Now next most important component, that is blood. As we know that the blood is transport the oxygen, nutrients, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste. Whereas blood also contains some components like a plasma, RBC, WBC and platelets. They have also their unique work. You can also mention it if it is asked in 4 marks. The next is the blood vessels like arteries, veins and capillaries. The arteries, veins and the capillaries function is to carry the blood to one part to another part of the body. Next question. Why is it necessary to separate oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in a mammals and blood? We already see in the circulation system that for the heart there is 2 sections which are divided by the septum. In right hand side of the part only the deoxygenated bloods are carried, while in right side of the left side of the heart it is carry the oxygenated blood. Why we need to separate these both the blood? Let's have a look in the answer that mammals and the birds are a warm-blooded animal which keep their body temperature constant irrespective of the environment where they are living. These processes require lots of oxygen for more cellular respiration, so that the warm-blooded animal produces more energy to balance their body temperature. Where this energy came? We already studied in the respiration process. When whatever the nutrition is there, with the nutrition oxygen is mixed, then and then the energy is released. So we need oxygen. Hence, it is very important for a warm-blooded animal to separate the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood to keep their circulatory system efficient. Let's see the next question. What are the components of the transport system in highly organized plant? As we see in the plants, for the transportation, two systems are there. One is the xylem and the another one that is phloem. The xylem is mainly used for the transportation of the minerals and water, whereas the phloem that is useful for the transportation of the food materials. Next question. How are the water and the minerals transported in the plants? Same question as I explained that for the transportation of the water and the minerals, the xylem tissues are there which is useful for the transportation of the water and minerals. In that, the water is transported by the process that called the osmosis process. Here you can see that the xylem have different kinds of parts like tracheas, vessels, roots, xylem tracheas, xylem vessels, which are used for the transportation of the water and the minerals. These vessels are connected with the root, and it sucks the water from the soil, then after it transfer to the other parts of the plants like stem, leaves, etc. These tracheas and the vessels are interconnected to each other, and leaves too, by which they can easily get the water from the root. It is a continuous system of the water conducting channel that reach to the all plants of the body. The another mechanism by which the transportation makes easy, that is a transpiration mechanism. Due to the transpiration, the loss of water is occurred. Due to the loss of the water, the suction is created, and due to the suction pressure, the water is pulled upward direction. So easily water can be transferred into each and every parts of the plants. Next question. How is the food transport in the plant? As we see that for the food, the phloem is useful. Food is transported in the plants by the special organ called the phloem. Phloem is transported the food material from the leaf to the different parts of the body. This increases the osmotic pressure in this tissue, causing water to move. This pressure move material in the phloem to the tissue with the less pressure. This is helping the transportation of the food material as per the need, and mainly transported material in the plant, that is sucrose. Now the long question answer that we will see in the next video.